You've seen the ads. You've heard the names Ozempic, Wegovy, and Zepbound. Maybe you've asked your doctor about them. Maybe you're on them. But what do you actually know about how GLP-1s work? Today, we're talking to Dr. Linda Shapiro Manning, a physician with both an MD and a PhD who has been working in obesity medicine since before GLP-1s were a household name. She was in the room when these drugs were first being developed and watched this go from a niche treatment to a cultural obsession. She's here to bust myths, give you the real answers, and remind us that your body is your business. So welcome to Not All Business, a podcast by two former CEOs who went from competitors to friends. I'm Blakely Graham, and my co-host is Heather Cooper, and we're joined by our producer, Clay Cronell. Now let's get down to business.
Not all business.
Okay, Blakely, I'm just going to start the show by saying you look beautiful today. I like your blouse. I like this glow that you have going on, which is lovely.
This is Heather trying to create a safe space for me as I have switched out my backdrop a little bit, and my lighting is all screwed up, but it's all good. I'll be drama today while I work it out. So I appreciate
it's like there's a spotlight on you, and we can just go zoom, like switch to Blakely, and you can say something very profound.
Oh, I hope that happens today. I've been waiting to be profound.
Well, I'm gonna set you up for this. You have a profound and very exciting announcement that I think our community is going to be very excited about. So why don't you?
Yes, so profound. We have created a new community. So talk about creating a safe space that you just tried to do for me, Heather. Yeah. We created a community on a new platform. So we just opened the doors on Substack. We're at notallbusiness.substack.com. And we did it for a few reasons. One, we needed a way to communicate with everyone. And so this enables us to communicate. So we have this great Casual Fridays newsletter that we send almost every Friday. Like, I don't want to commit to every Friday because, like, what if I want to take a vacation 1 week? But it's almost every Friday.
Remember when you got, okay, you know what, Clay? I think when you edit this, I would love for you to like to flip back to that one day where I was like, yeah, we're going to be doing a monthly newsletter, and I got slapped down publicly. Do you remember that? Blakely was like, no, you may not commit to that. I was like, never mind. We're not going to be doing
how many like corporate marketing departments have I worked in? And they're like, oh, we need to have a monthly newsletter. And we write 2 to our customers and we never do it again.
It's so true. But I will say these newsletters, it's different. Like you say newsletter, I go back in my mind 20 years ago to like a super long email that people are like, delete. This is very different. This is engaging. It's fun links.
Yeah, it's just links. Yeah, it's like it gives you a link to our latest episode. It gives you a link to like what we're into or like what we're feeling. Or we have like a little Clay's Corner from Detroit, and he's going to give us like a link to something Detroit
to keep everybody cool. No, yeah. it's like we need everybody cool. We need our listeners cool. We need to keep cool. So Clay's going to be. We should call it Clay's Cool Corner.
Clay's Cool Corner. Do you know that was actually the name? By the way, I'm learning that that's what the name is for my little section right now.
You're just making this stuff up, right?
But when I was a kid, I told my parents I wanted to make a little website, and they were like, "Well, we're gonna actually have a website for our." They had a ministry, like, and I was like, "Well, can I get like my own page?" My dad was like, "Sure," and I was like, "What do you want to call it?" Clay's Corner.
No
Get
way.
Out.
And so this is officially now becoming a real, like my childhood dream is coming true
my gosh.
right now.
Oh my gosh.
There is a section on the newsletter called Clay's Corner. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the newsletter is not like, forget newsletter. It's just like a little update. It's a little bit more of us personally. And like last week I put in a book that I just finished. So I thought was a really good book. And I think people might be interested in the book. So things like that, it's not all business. In fact, it's so much more than the all business side of Not All Business that we're calling the community NAB, Not All Business Unfiltered.
Unfiltered? What? Oh,
unfiltered,
boy. That's dangerous for me. I'm going to start.
Yeah.
See, I can swear there, but I'm going to try to tone it down here. Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Right. So here's the deal. And we went back and forth on this, and you can blame me if you're mad about it, but there is going to be a paid subscriber option. So it's not, the newsletter's totally free.
Oh,
But I
maybe.
did want to create a space where people had a little bit of buy-in, a little bit of skin in the game. And, you know, the trolls and the haters and the things and all the weird comments that we get out in public on TikTok. And, I mean, they're hilarious and God
Are
bless
they?
them. And you got to laugh. I mean, I laugh.
That
Anyway,
one you pasted to me the other day, I was like, what? What
was
is that
so
even
funny.
saying?
It was like-
was it funny?
yeah, so speaks
it?
to women who whatever.
It's like misogyny at its finest.
thank you for the motivation to keep going, you mother. Anyway, I just all of that to say, we do want to create a space where there's a tiny bit of skin in the game. I'm talking like the cost of a latte or something. Like this
A
is
venti
not
latte.
a venti. Okay, so like $7-8, something like that. So a month, just to create a space where it's like there's a hurdle. So it's not just anybody who's coming in. But we have heard from so many people about our guest list. Hey, how could we all get together? Like I listened to so and so. She sounds like she'd be a great friend. Our listeners coming in and like we want to create a space where people can start talking to each other. That's in a little bit more private, contained community versus just out there on the comments and social media. So that's the reason for it. And we're so excited and we hope you join us. We are.
But there's a free version too. So like, don't let that stop you. Please come anyway.
Although also
free.
please come
or
inside.
pay. Yep.
See, this is not
Okay.
a profit-making scheme, by the way. This is just like grassroots. Listener sponsored.
By the way, listeners can't tell, but
Sponsor
Blakely
sponsored.
is on the floor. She's like fell.
Blakely can't ask for money. Blakely only knows how to give money. If you want Blakely to comp personally, and if you want Blakely to cover your subscription cost, just DM her.
It's true.
We're flashing her number on the screen right now.
1-800 pay my $8.
Okay,
Blakely, she'll cover you. Just kidding. I'm kidding. That was a joke.
join the community.
Yes.
Come on inside.
Yep.
There's cookies, cake,
Yeah.
and push-ups.
Yeah, exactly. This is my pitch. I'm like we're pitch slapping our pitch slapping our audience right now.
Oh,
Sorry,
we'll do
everyone.
a live pit for pep pitch.
I kid you not.
There
This
you
has
go.
made me think of something that happened to me. And normally the two of you come to the show with things that have happened to you, but something happened to me.
Are you
and
okay?
ever since
This is
Sam
Clay's Corner,
Yarborough-
live.
welcome to Clay's Corner live. There's I'll put some jazz
Just a
music underneath
sample.
here.
Just a sampling. Yeah. Okay.
I got pitch slapped.
You did.
I got pitch slapped pretty hard. So long
By the
story.
way, pitch slapped was our word of the week in the newsletter. Just another reason to subscribe. Just saying.
Yes, it came from Sam Yarborough's episode where she coined that term.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about this Substack so much that you're going to want to get in there because stuff is going to start not making sense.
True.
So anyway, I got pitch slapped because we had a major windstorm. Normally, windstorms are only in Colorado. But apparently we have them in Michigan here too. And it was so much damage that shingles started flying off my roof.
Oh.
So I had to call roofing companies to basically be like, hey, come give me a quote. Well, I won't name the company in particular, but one of the major roofing companies came to my house. They sent what seemed like a very nice young man, came to my door, took some pictures of my house, and then said, I need to come inside to talk with you about this. And I said, do we have to do that? Like, couldn't you just like tell me basically like what the damage is going to be? And he's like, no, we got to go over some stuff. So I was like, okay. So then he came inside of my house and
Is he still there, Clay? Is he still there?
Is he living in your basement?
I'm like looking off to the side. I'm like, no, I'm safe.
Blink twice if you need help. Okay.
Okay, so I hate this already. And
course,
I'm
yes, so
nervous.
awkward.
I would
And,
too.
I'll meet with you outside. I got a jacket. Wear a jacket. It's cold.
Right.
I'll meet you outside.
Right.
The damage is out there.
Right.
What conversation do we need to have?
Inside
you
the
can
house.
see it.
Right.
You're the expert. Just tell me.
Yeah.
So he comes inside my house, and I already staged like within 3 feet of the door 2 chairs because I'm like, there's no way you're sitting on a couch. So he says, "Is there?"
What?
He's
Wait,
like-
why won't you let him in all the way?
Because he'll never leave, and it's really crossing a boundary that he even wants to come inside.
Okay.
He's an exterior
So
guy.
you put in your foyer like
Two
some
chairs?
folding chairs.
Yeah.
This is weird.
And I was like, and so I pointed at essentially a makeshift bench. I said, you can have a seat if you'd like. I'm going to stand. So then he
All
sets
right,
down
that's
his
kind of a
stuff.
power move. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. Okay.
Okay, this is my home. Okay,
Yeah.
Okay.
like
Uh-huh.
yeah, and I got stuff to do.
Right.
So anyway, I'm being very respectful. I said, feel free, you can sit down, but I only have about 10 minutes. What do we need to discuss? And he's like, oh, well, it's going to take longer than that.
Excuse me?
He's like, well, we need to discuss kind of like the future of like your family and like what you're looking for.
Oh.
And like, this is the biggest investment in your home. And I was like,
What?
yeah,
out.
I'm not interested in that. I just would basically like to hear like what you think the damage will cost so that I can sit down, think about it, and then give you a phone call. And he's like, well, that's not really how we do things at this company. And I said, okay, well, are you sure there's no other option? He's like, well, let me call my manager. So I'm like,
Are you buying a new car?
so then he fakes a phone call.
He fakes it?
So totally staged phone call. He calls a guy who picks up the phone and he's like, hey, you got a second? He's like, I'm in a meeting, but I could step out. Like, what's going on? So, and he puts him on speakerphone. Oh, by the way, speakerphone the whole time.
This is wild.
Okay.
Terrible.
Okay.
I'll try to keep this short, but I wrote down basically what happens next. So he calls his manager, and his manager is like, "This is the only way we do it. You got to know all this stuff." And is there another time he could come back and discuss this and sit down? And he's like, the guy in my house is like, "Is there a kitchen table we could sit at?" And I said, "No."
Good for you.
So
This
then
is weird.
It is weird.
right. Okay. So then the phone call ends, and I said, let's, if there's any way you can do this in about 10 minutes, I'm all ears. Otherwise, it looks like this is not gonna work out. And he says verbatim, don't you care about the people who are coming to work on your house? I need to tell you the company story.
What?
Huh?
Like you're the asshole. Whoa.
And so we're mid pitch slap, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm feeling really kind of like worked up. And
Yeah.
by the
Yeah.
way, my wife Ray is like listening upstairs, and she is hot.
Losing it.
I can tell
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
her footsteps were a little louder. And when
Yeah.
she came down the stairs behind me, and I'm still looking
Yeah.
at the guy, like not
Yeah.
losing eye contact, but I'm
Yeah.
looking at the guy, and he looks past me, and it doesn't go well for him. So okay, so I'm gonna wrap this up.
Okay.
So we're mid pitch slap. He says, "Don't you care about the people coming here? I need to tell you the company story." I said, "I don't really care about those people. I got to be honest." But I said, "I do care if they do good work, and
Yeah.
I care about that.
Yeah.
you know?
Yep.
I want
That's
them to do
fair.
a good job."
Yeah. But you don't need the whole backstory of how the company was founded.
Unbelievable.
How'd you get him out of your house?
So then I said, "It sounds like this isn't going to work out." I was like,
Yeah.
it just sounds like this is not going to
Yeah.
work out. I have your contact information. I'll reach out to you if I
Yeah.
do have another time that we can get together.
Wow.
That's the worst story ever. My husband, by the way, never would have made
bad.
it through. We would have 3 new roofs by this point in the story.
He would have been like, absolutely. Come into, can I get you a
Yes.
cup of tea?
And can I
Like,
buy you a new roof and you a new
yeah.
roof?
And actually, I do really care about my family's
Yeah.
well-being. Thank you for asking. Can I pay more? Because to prove how much I do care about my family.
I have some great stories later, another time. Clay, you keep going.
So the big problem that I have now is that this is
Yeah.
a major company that has a jingle that you hear basically every day on the TV and radio. So I am
So now you have like PTSD.
Jingle
triggers.
it. Do it. Just hum it for me. I want to see if I remember.
Is it this one?
This is
That
gonna
company?
get-
No, that's an insurance
This has
company.
to get cut. This is
Oh, you got it.
horrible.
Hey, I'll tell you what. On the Substack, I'll hum the song. On the Substack,
Yeah.
you can-
Okay,
I'll hum
okay,
it,
Yeah.
and everybody
okay.
will know.
Or
Okay.
or just list the name of the company. It's true. It's not defamation. You
Thank
know,
goodness we have a
it's-
lawyer.
It's true. Thank goodness we have a lawyer. But you know what we have that's way better than a lawyer today? Like a gazillion, trillion, zillion times better than a lawyer. It's a lot better.
Well, better be a doctor
It
because
is.
my
It's
mom always
and
said
it's-
you can be a lawyer or a doctor. There's no other career.
Oh
didn't do
man,
either, by the
God,
way.
are you disappointing?
By the
Okay,
way, not my mom. It was like my dad.
okay. Can I go?
She's a listener. I'm worried.
Are you okay? We're going to find out. We're not only bringing on a single doctor, we are bringing on a double doctor. We're bringing on an MD and a PhD, all wrapped up in one person. We have today with us Dr. Linda Shapiro Manning. Welcome to the show.
You know how every industry has that one relationship where both sides need each other, but the communication is just broken? In construction, that's general contractors and subcontractors. The invoices get lost, the budgets blow up, and nobody's on the same page. Well, Trade Agent fixes that. It's the AI layer that sits between GCs and subs and keeps the whole thing from falling apart. Invoices, budgets, payments handled like magic. No more fights, no more finger pointing, and everyone can get back to actual building. Check it out at thetradeagent.com. Welcome, Double Doctor.
Double doctor. That's so impressive. You were
Thank you.
oh, I don't think an MD is enough. Like, I need to go be even smarter. So you went and got a PhD. Did you do the PhD after the MD or before?
I did. I just like being on campuses, right? I mean, what's not to love about being on a campus?
That's so true.
The tests, the exams, the learning.
All of
Actually,
the
I
things.
love the
All of
learning.
that
I would
stuff.
go to school all day if I didn't have to answer
The
a question
testing.
live and have a test. Yeah.
So we were talking before we pressed record today. Listeners, I know we don't always get into the background of our guests to detail, but because of what we're talking about today, which is fascinating and very topical, we're getting into GLP-1s. And Linda has been involved in this research before, Clay, not before you were born, but, you know, it's getting
You were in
close
diapers.
for years and years and years and years. So I do want to give Linda, I want to give you an opportunity to share a little bit about where your career started and how you ended up being one of the pioneers of this very important medicine that people have tons of questions about, but that's like actually changing our culture in so many ways. So how'd you get started?
Sure. Well, so maybe it even gets back to the last question. So after my MD and doing my training in internal medicine, you know, we're really doing illness care, not health care. So then I did my research postdoc and stayed on for a PhD in kinesiology, applied physiology, really nutrition, metabolism, how the cardiovascular system works, how the autonomic nervous system works. Whatever, these are big words, but really
They're very big words. Yeah, but they're not acronyms. So we can't make you explain them because they're not acronyms. So yeah.
And it's
Go ahead.
okay because we have Word of the Weeks in our new newsletter.
All
so
right. Fantastic.
you better know.
Fantastic.
We can have a dictionary for Linda's episode.
Autonomic.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, but really getting at, right, how does the body work and how does it work in the normal state and versus in the disease state? So then when I started practicing, I really tried to do preventive medicine, you know, and diet and exercise to help lower cholesterol and blood pressure. And what actually ended up happening is there was a really great ear, nose, and throat doctor who started referring me his patients who had sleep apnea and obesity. And so I was trying to help them with diet and exercise, and they were the nicest patients, and they were so appreciative, right? And they were really trying to get well and making progress. And I really thought, okay, this is what I really want to focus on in my career. And so I really dove into obesity medicine, became board certified in it, left this large multi-specialty practice, started my own solo practice in obesity medicine. This was all about the first decade of this century or millennium. And so actually it was 2008 when the first GLP-1 came out for diabetes. And so I started prescribing it for some of my patients, and they came back and said to me, oh, this is what full feels like? I've never felt full before.
Wow.
And that was really, you know, a light bulb moment and very different than old historic, quote unquote, diet pills that just made people never hungry, right? It's very different than say, oh, I'm never hungry, so I just don't eat. That's very different than, oh, I eat and I get full with a reasonable amount of food. So GLP-1 is a hormone that our intestines make when we eat food, and it goes into our intestinal tract, it signals that release. And it only stays in the circulation for a few minutes, but it does exactly the job that should tell the body, okay, you've eaten. Now you should feel full, and you should release insulin to absorb that sugar into your blood, and you should stop making glucagon, which is the hormone of fasting, right? And you can slow down the rate at which stuff is emptying from your stomach, because here I am in the intestines, I'm already getting it, so just let a bit at a time. That is physiologically how GLP-1s work, and that was essentially what my patients were saying to me. And so really the decision came, do I stay in practice and see, one patient at a time, or do I shift and really see if I can help get this and other treatments available to more patients and help more people really understand obesity and really help the masses.
So that is when you got tapped to come work. So explain that transition of moving into working on the drug itself.
So first part of my career in clinical practice, first in a large group practice, then I went into solo. And towards the end of that time that I was in my solo practice, one of the drug companies who was working on developing GLP-1s reached out to me and asked me to be on their scientific advisory board meeting. And to be in that room with, other people, I felt so much not on an island anymore, right? And really seeing that there was this future potential. Compound that with, I was tired of fighting with insurance companies for getting paid to do good work. And so that's sort of all what led me. And so within a year or so after starting to work with that company, they were hiring and expanding their team. And so it was a difficult decision to close my practice and walk away from my patients and sort of do this career pivot. But, I really thought it was the right thing to do for, greater humanity and more patients. And ultimately now here we are 15 years later and starting to see some of the fruits of that labor.
Yeah, that's a huge shift. And I think, it's crazy to me to think about that was 15 years ago. And so what was that like for you personally to have now just everybody on the street understanding and pronouncing semaglutide wrong, or what's the right way to say it? But everybody's now talking about this, and you've been in it for 15 years. What was that shift like for you?
Yeah. So early on, the shift was interesting because still the two companies that you hear of the most about have been in the diabetes space for over 100 years, and really since the Nobel Prize for the discovery of insulin. And mark my words, actually, I believe in a couple of years, there's going to be a Nobel Prize for the discovery of GLP-1. So it'll be fascinating. But so those companies were still very focused on diabetes, right? And I come in and they're like, oh, you're the obesity person. What are we supposed to do with you, right? And no one really gave me much credit, right? And then even to this point, 10 years ago, we got the first GLP-1 approved for obesity. And, didn't really get a whole lot of, uptick. And so now, to your point, to hear everyone talking about it, and even these companies oh, yes, we always believed in this. And oh, yes, we have these teams.
That's got to grind you a little bit. That's got to grind you a little bit. You're oh, okay, now that it's fancy and famous and everybody in Hollywood now you're involved in, we did this a long time ago. Yeah.
Right, exactly. And even on social media and everything, now people are these experts, right? And I'm thinking, okay,
oh my
right.
gosh,
and you've been doing this for 2 days, right? So
I guess I don't understand why there wasn't an uptick immediately, because obesity seems to me like a much broader reach than diabetes. To me, it's more money. Why was there a slow uptick, do you think?
Yeah, so I think it's a perfect storm of things. So first off, the medicines that were approved 15 years ago were daily medications, and they were getting a magnitude of weight loss in the range of 10%, 8 to 12%. For some patients, high responders, up to 15%. But there wasn't a huge wow factor. So what happened 5 years ago, remember exactly, literally, or maybe 6 years ago, March 2020, and all of a sudden we're going to stay home for a couple of weeks, and then what that couple of weeks turned into, and
like, what are you talking about? Oh, that.
Oh, COVID. Yeah.
and we all got comfy in our elastic pants, and and our delivery.
I'm still there.
And that was precisely in the same era that semaglutide was approved. So it was a once weekly, and then it's getting, this 15% and higher weight loss. So people, so fast forward, now people have gained some weight during COVID, or COVID restrictions are loosening, and they want to go back and look like they actually worked out and got healthy during COVID. Not that we all became less healthy during COVID. And so, and there was something that they could use once a week that was getting them decent magnitude of weight loss, right? And then it just sort of happened. And this is the same thing when I was in clinical practice. Patient, any other health condition, no one says, oh, wow, Bob, your prostate looks good. What are you doing for your prostate, right? That's not what happens. But when people are losing weight, everyone notices and they say, oh my gosh, what are you doing? And in my practice, I never advertised my practice. My patients would just say, oh, I'm seeing Dr. Shapiro. You should go see her too. And so when people say, oh, well, I'm doing, Ozempic or Wegovy or whatever, then that's when it's really started going. And then the competitor product came out from the other company, and then, and now it's just all the rage.
Yeah. So what do you think this is doing now? Thank you for that background, by the way. And we are so honored to, I can't think of a better person who can speak to this than you. So I really appreciate you taking time with us today. I'm most curious now that it's all the rage. I had a conversation with my daughter and her friend last night. They're 20 years old. They're juniors in college. And they were both voicing how sad they are to see the body positivity movement that they had both worked hard in their communities to help press forward, and that curvy is okay, and that there's, all different types of bodies and shapes and sizes. And there had been a lot of ground that was made over the past 5 years when they were in high school until where they are now. And they're both said they're seeing it just disappear before their eyes because their friends are talking about getting on these drugs. We're seeing people taking it too far, and it's becoming this kind of trend. And Blakely, you mentioned the other day, like a thin culture where we're now prioritizing this. And I'd love to hear from your perspective. If you're seeing the GLP, is it because this is so accessible and people can get into unrealistic weights much easier? That's not maybe a eating disorder or something that was so shamed on before, but now it's seen as healthy. And where do you see this going?
Right. And that's the part that there's still lots of work to be done and lots of room for improvement. And unfortunately, the perfect storm created all kinds of chaos. And to that point, people who don't have obesity, Hollywood types, are getting access to this and basically getting, to underweight weights and then promoting that. And then others, right, are trying to mimic the same. Weight bias and stigma, obesity stigma, weight bias are very, very common, one of the most prevalent forms of bias. And it impacts all aspects of someone's life. I mean, think about this. If you're on a plane and someone in a larger body is walking down the aisle, right? Everyone's thinking, oh gosh, I hope they don't sit next to me, right? And
they're going to steal my armrest or something.
Yeah, and the person walking down the aisle knows that. But imagine that person 24/7, everywhere they go, they know that people are judging them. And to your point, when there was no effective or limited effective treatments, bariatric surgery is highly effective. It's been around for a while, right? I mean, so we can have a whole other conversation about that. But when they were limited, then there was this body positivity, body acceptance, right? Like, don't judge me just based on my body, which absolutely should hold. But actually now the reverse is happening because people are saying, well, there's the GLP-1s. Why don't you just do that? Like, how can you let yourself be that? And then when people get to right, then how come you're not going further? How come you're not losing even more? Why aren't you right? And so really this comes down to, right, it's no one else's business, right? Your body is your business, and what you choose to do or not do with it now is your choice. And what you choose now could be different than what you chose in the past. It might be different than what you choose in the future. And your body changes over time. I mean, none of us in our 40s and 50s have the same body we had as teenagers in our 20s. And when we're 60, 70, 80, it won't be the same body internally or externally. And so we really need to just empower ourselves to do what we feel is best. And for some people, maybe they seek out treatment and it's appropriate. And for some people, maybe they choose not to, and they can change their mind. And, so
I don't think our society is very historically good at supporting individuals like that. And so there's something here where I'm like, let everyone have it. Like, go take the pill every day, take the shot, because then all of a sudden we're all thin and we've ruined our strength or ruined all this stuff. And then thin culture's out. Like, maybe the pendulum just needs to swing. Let's all get scrawny and realize, maybe that isn't our societal definition of beauty, our societal definition of strength. And I wonder if we could think about it from another angle. I know thin culture is not very body positive forward, but what about thinking about GLPs? Are they healthy? Are they strength forward? Are they helping? I know they're helping. You had an obesity clinic, right? So they are helping sleep apnea. They're helping diabetes. Are they helping heart health? But are they safe for everyone, I guess, is where I'm getting to.
Right. Well, and to your point, instead of going from a thin culture or whatever, let's just go for a health culture, right? And let's have everyone try to be the best version of their self, right? Physically, mentally, emotionally, right? Everything. And so to that point, it's funny, but right, are GLP-1s right for everyone? Well, no. I mean, there's nothing that's right for everyone except maybe oxygen and water, right? But people people are
we're all built differently,
right? And even an individual over their lifetime, what works for them at some point is not. So I think if we could start focusing on and in the obesity community, we talk about these as beyond the scale victories, right?
I like that. Beyond the scale victories.
Right?
Yeah.
And so that can be walking around Disneyland all day with your kids or your grandkids, and A, not getting tired walking around, and B, being able to fit into all the rides and whatever. If that's your goal, then great, and nothing says you have to fit into a bikini to do any of that, right? So that's really what we should be focusing on, is people being able to live the life that they want to live in the highest quality that they can, honestly, in all aspects of their life.
But how do we do that because I mean, think back to Renaissance days. It's okay, the picture of health and wealth and success was a little bit more weight on your body because that meant you were wealthy and could feed and eat as much as you want. And then now it's moving into, well, if you have time to work out and you can afford to go to a gym and you can afford to eat organic and all of these other things, then thinner and more fit is going to be an indication of success. And now with the cost of the drugs, it's I feel bad for people who are getting judged. Maybe they can't afford it. Maybe it's not covered by their insurance or, whatever. There's all of these other factors where I think this bias, it's just, instead of removing it, it's just shifting. And now it's who's wealthy enough to afford the drug to be able to be skinny? And then where's the standard ending? And that's really frustrating.
Correct. And that's where, unfortunately, because there's the cosmetic aspect of this and people will pay out of pocket for it, that sadly, the prices on these GLP-1s went up just kept going up and up and up, basically to what the market would bear. And when there are people who are willing to pay that much, then they supply and demand.
Supply and demand. Are we going to get to a place where there's so much supply that it forces it to go down?
Yes. So this year is really a pivotal year. So sadly, unfortunately, last year, some insurance companies were covering it, and it was, breaking the bank because the price was so high. And so they actually cut off formularies, and a lot of patients this year got cut off. And so then what are they supposed to do? Like, you wouldn't just cut off someone's asthma medicine or their seizure medicine or whatever, right?
Right.
So now with, there's pressures, the price on these medicines is coming down. And it's very interesting because, again, these two companies were the same companies who've been making insulin for a long time. And I don't know if you remember, but 10 years ago, there was a big push to lower the insulin prices. And it's very
They know the game.
interesting. Exactly. Right. So now here they are, but they're lowering that. But there's new medicines coming out. And so part of it, you guys are both the CEOs, you guys have the business mind more than I do, but they can lower the price of these because then the new stuff is coming out and they raise the price on the new stuff, right? And then there's just
the pill version. I saw it like all through the Super Bowl. It was like ad after ad after ad of like, okay, now we can take this pill and this celebrity's on it and this celebrity's on it. And that's the part that is just, I can't quite get it. Like, hey, I heard that it helps with menopausal bloat. If I can afford that, you think I'm not going to try that if it's actually going to make my stomach issues go away? Like, there is zero judgment from my end. I'm like, if as the studies are coming out and it's being proven that things can help, I am all for treating those symptoms, right? Like, so zero judgment that way. But I don't like the piece of it where it's becoming the trend, or, hey, everybody's doing it, and hey, look how easy this is. And where we would get to a place where we're not doing the workout or eating as much as we need. So then our body is suffering on a different side.
So exactly. So back to Blakely's question, right? And the safety thing. So if a person feels full or conversely not hungry, right, then they eat less. And in the end, right, it's still an energy balance and the laws of thermodynamics hold, right? A person needs to consume fewer calories than they are expending. And it's not the same as eat less, exercise more, but metabolism plays a role in what kinds of things you eat and so on and so forth. But to that point, if then you choose to eat less and you're not getting your essential vitamins, minerals, protein, fatty acids, then there are problems and there are side effects of people losing a lot of muscle because they're not taking enough protein. Or they get some tingling sensations and other side effects because they've actually burned through their reserves of their vitamins, because vitamins are used for the chemical reactions of turning fat into energy. So if you're burning it up.
This might be a stupid question, but on that exact note of like, okay, so you need more protein. Is it okay to get that protein through a protein shake, or are we losing things where it's like, no, you're not eating like physical food that's breaking down and forcing your metabolism to work that way? Or is any form okay? Because I'm seeing all of these things like add 30 grams of protein to your water, or because people aren't hungry, right? They're not feeling hungry anymore. So it's like, how are they going to get their protein? Is that the same thing?
Well, so at the most basic level, right, there are what we call essential nutrients, vitamins, minerals, protein, and fatty acid that our body needs to do the chemical reactions of daily living. And so you need to get those things in. And, in the most extreme sense, a person who's in the ICU for an extended period of time, right, we basically put the equivalent of a shake with all of those things into a feeding tube, right?
Right. They stay
now,
alive. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So that is a way to get it in. But in order to maintain health, and actually, I love using this analogy. You have applesauce, apple juice. Let's say they all have the same calories. They all have the same vitamins, but you physically have to chew the apple and your stomach has to grind it and digest it, whatever, versus the applesauce has kind of already been blended up versus the apple juice that you're just drinking that nutrition and you're not getting any of the fiber, right? The apple is a better way to go, as would be, right, all of your whole foods, vegetables, eating your protein, either as meats or nuts or legumes or whatnot. But at the same point, you don't have to have every one of your meals that way. So today I had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich for lunch and a high protein chocolate milk with it, right? So it was sort of a little bit of both. So I had my high fiber peanut butter and my whole grain bread, but I got all of my nutrition in that shake. So
that's amazing.
You had mentioned earlier that this is a natural hormone, or maybe it's the production of a hormone. I'm going to get the terminology wrong. But does that play into like dopamine fixes as well? And where I'm going with this question is I've heard GLP-1s can curb your appetite, but they can also curb things like alcohol, and maybe be potentially applied to drug addiction or abuse. And I'm going to go out and say, does it also curb other pleasure-seeking things like phones or sex, or kind of all these myriad of not necessarily bad things, maybe bad in excess, but or is it truly limited to anything that goes through your digestive tract?
Great question. You're very astute, Blakely. Good student.
She's a good student. She just wants to be able to keep drinking, have sex, and doom scroll. Okay, that's really the source.
More societal questions.
That's the source. She's like, don't take my wine, don't take my sexy time, and don't take my phone.
So this gets into the big words I was using in describing my PhD, my postdoc work. But there are neural connections from the gut to the brain. And a lot of those are what we call homeostatic, or related to homeostasis, which is the balance of energy in, energy out. Just like body temperature, right? We regulate our body temperature, we regulate our fluid balance, regulate our energy. And in those pathways in the brain, there's also side roads and like on and off ramps, like on the highway, that merge into that have to do with pleasure and satisfaction and stuff, right? So we eat because we need to eat or we're going to die. But what we choose to eat is because we like it or we want it or whatever, right? So they're very tightly intertwined. And in a perfect balance, right, you're getting just enough stimulus for pleasure, satisfaction, and you're getting just enough nutrient stimulation. And then you get this, I am full, I am content, I am satisfied and whatnot. But sometimes when we miss one of those things or the other, then there's this craving or wanting or seeking and the pleasure and the reward and whatnot. And so that's how they all tie in together. And to that point, now that there's more clinical experience with the GLP-1s, patients are saying, right, I don't have an interest in these other substances, nicotine, alcohol, whatever. So that research is currently evolving, and we'll have more not just, individuals sort of saying it, but like some controlled research data coming out soon to discuss that. But you're right. It almost seems endless in how they might be beneficial.
Endless. But then you also hear that you have to stay on it for that to stay true, right?
Okay. So let's get into a little bit of myth busting in that. So
yes,
Mythbusters. I love that show. Yeah.
All right. So back to, is it right for everyone? No, because not everyone is the same. Does everyone have to stay on it forever? No, because again, not everyone is the same, right? So we know people who will say, I've had a weight problem my whole life. I was the biggest kid in kindergarten and it's always been that way, right? Then it's unlikely that anything they do to lose weight, that then they could stop doing that and they would maintain, because their biology just isn't. But we also know people who never had a weight problem in their youth, and then it was puberty or pregnancy or menopause, or they had an injury and they became inactive, or they went on steroid medicines for something or another, right? And that's the thing that flipped it for them. And so maybe they just need the GLP-1s or whatever other treatment to reset it back, stay there for a while. So all of these multiple mechanisms can balance themselves out, and then slowly taper off and see if the body can now self-regulate in its new normal. The problem is the companies who did the clinical trials did not want to do those maintenance studies. And one company told me it was not aligned to their commercial strategy.
They said that out loud. Huh?
Yeah, that's a problem.
Okay. Yeah, that's a huge problem.
And it goes back to the societal thing is, if we think about in the 70s when everyone was laying out at the beach and they have their tanning oil and you see the pictures, but they're smoking a pack a day and that's curbing their appetite and they're skinny. And were they healthy? And then all of a sudden we're like, no to cigarettes. Well, what did we introduce instead? We introduced ultra processed food and now, and fast casual and fast food. And so we're always like trading these things and we're just in this, like, I'm just trying to, as I form an opinion on GLP-1, which I don't know that I have formed yet because it's still so new, are we just trading from cigarettes to ultra processed convenience, SnackWells before and now SnackWells. Do you remember the SnackWells? Yeah, Diet Coke now.
Yeah.
Is GLP like the new quick hit? And I need to separate. I'm talking GLP maybe for personal. I don't even know how to say this without feeling like I'm judging someone.
Well, someone who isn't medically diagnosed as obese. You have not done that. So as someone who does not have that diagnosis,
correct.
Go ahead.
Yes. Is it just another? Are we not getting to eating the apple? Right? Are we skipping let's go back? We need to eat the apple. But for some reason, myself included, eating the apple is hard.
Right.
And I don't mind a quick fix
If there's
here
a
and
shortcut,
there.
let's take it. Yeah, I hear
But
you.
is that societally gosh, you guys, we're just doing it again. We're just putting dingling more cigarettes in front of you,
Yeah. So I think it's the all or nothing quick fix mentality that's been problematic. And there's nothing really exciting about moderation. Right? And in all reality, right, yes, when we went with low fat, it should have been lower fat than we were eating before, but not necessarily low. And all that did was then we went with high sugar. And now we said, oh, sugar's bad. So we should go lower sugar, which would then translate to higher protein. But no, we went all the way into high protein. And same thing, right? So now there's people who, I've seen these videos, and for breakfast they eat a dozen eggs and a steak. Again, where's the apple? Balance any of these things out, right? So, I'm sorry that.
Well, but then you have statins that are ubiquitous, though, right? To counteract these steak and so was GLP-1 going to become ubiquitous like a statin, right?
There's the potential that, right? And fast forward 10, 15, 20 years when they're generic and there's, formulations, right, that are more easily accessible, that they might be in the same way, not only statins, but antidepressant medicines. You
can kind of consider GLP-1 kind of mental health medicine as well, right? So yeah.
Well, okay. So where do you see this all going? I mean, you've been there since day one of where it started. So where do you see it going when it's affordable? Let's just if we remove that hurdle for being able to get it, let's remove demand problems and supply problems and financial problems. Everybody has access to this. Where do you see that going for us as a culture?
I love that world where everyone has access. So I do believe, so there's, I can't even tell you how many companies getting into the game now. Some see it because they really want to do good and they really want to innovate treatments and make them accessible. Some see it as a cash grab. Hopefully, the ones who really want to do good will be successful, but there will be more drugs that become available. There will be more GLP-1 like drugs, even combined with other hormones from the intestine. There will be other non-GLP drugs now that people are saying, oh, this can be successful, right? So that work via other mechanisms. So back to then, not everyone needs to go on a GLP-1 type med. They could go on other med if they need it. And when all of these companies are in the game, right, the competition will bring down the price. There will be more supply. Access will be more available. And then it will be, I believe, treated like any other disease where, you go and you talk to a qualified healthcare professional. So this will be the other thing. It will be part of medical school training, nursing training, dietitian training, pharmacist training, personal exercise trainer training. And then it won't be so much all about this hype and whatever. It'll just be another condition that is treated, and there will be enough different types of medicines that hopefully good healthcare professionals will ask questions, and based on the answers and medical history, they'll choose the appropriate treatment, right? And
So
and not
let's
just
talk about
everyone
that
gets
for a
the same.
second, because I know when we first had our talk a couple of years ago, whenever that was, one of the concerns and kind of red flags you said for anybody considering a GLP-1 was to be really careful about where they were getting it, where that facility was sourcing it, making sure it's FDA approved, making sure you're working with a medical provider that's actually meeting you, understanding you, instead of these compounding places that are, it's like you have 10 minutes online with a doctor and it shows up at your doorstep. So let's talk about that and the importance and the risks of doing this well. If you do choose that it's a good fit for you, how does someone do it well?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I like how you phrased it, because there's no fault or blame in people saying, well, look, my doctor, I go in to talk to them, and either they don't know what they're doing or they make me feel shame, right? So no one wants to have that experience. And I try to go through my insurance and my insurance won't pay for it. So what am I supposed to do? So therefore, right, I try to use one of these telehealth services and I try to get an affordable thing. So there should be no issue with someone doing that. But in the end, you want what they get to be good quality healthcare and good quality medications. So those are certainly questions that you could ask the telehealth provider, like where are they sourcing it? What is the pharmacy they're getting it from? They will tell you, they should tell you whether it is a compounded semaglutide or tirzepatide, or whether it is branded Wegovy or Zepbound, or the two brand names for the current obesity medications. The price will pretty much tell you the difference, right? Typically the brandeds are more than 200, and typically these compoundeds are less than 200 a month.
And is there a risk with the compounded, or someone should be steering clear from that? Okay.
There is. So compounding, how it came about and why it's allowed is, let's just take whatever, your kid gets sick and they're going to get penicillin. And let's just say they actually have an allergy to that pink dye and the bubble gum flavor, right, that the penicillin comes with.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's happens. So a compounding pharmacy could take the active ingredient in penicillin, right, and make a formulation with the right dose or whatever for you or your kid. That's how it's supposed to be. And certainly the FDA can't regulate every single one of those things. So what happened again during this perfect storm with the pandemic and everything was that the supply chain got disrupted. There was inadequate supply. So there's a loophole that you can use compounding to fill in when there's a supply issue. And then when the supply issue got resolved, it's been very difficult to close that door. And so you'll see in the news, there's all sorts of letters and litigation from the FDA and the manufacturers and all sorts of things. Some companies are doing it well. They're really getting, making high quality product. They have high, quality control, quality assurance, and all the other things. And probably there's a bit of a price tag for that. And then there's some companies who are just doing it poorly on the cheap, and there have been lawsuits because there's all sorts of other things mixed in. Batch to batch, you don't know if you're getting the same dose. When they start mixing it in with vitamins, so then you think, oh, this is great. Now I get one injection and it has all my vitamins and whatever. Well, that's never been studied before, and we don't know if that actually is safe.
That's where I'm getting worried about that. As I'm hearing more and more friends and young women, like young girls in their 20s, like just doing it as cheap as possible. But what has been tested? Like, if they want to make an appointment with one of these companies, what's the question that they need to ask so that they can understand whether or not this is a legit company or not? Is it FDA approved, or is the facility FDA approved? Like, what is the exact question?
Exactly. So when was the facility's last FDA inspection or audit? So that might be one thing. And where do they source their ingredients from, the raw materials from?
And the answer should be what, if it's a good answer?
Well, it should be North America or Europe, to be safe where they're getting their raw materials from. And they should, either be able to say yes within this time period that they recently had a an audit or an inspection, or that they have some sort of a certificate of, quality or passing or something of that sort.
Thank you so much.
Can I ask you one more question? I think it's my last big question. And it's about a word you said a few minutes ago, and that's shame. And I just know I know you think a lot about body talk and body image. And again, as I'm trying to come up with my opinion, and by the way, I would love to cut out the food noise of my head. And I guess not clinically, but I grew up in the 80s and 90s with Kate Moss. Like, I have my own body image thing. I live in Boulder, for goodness sakes. Like, there's the demand to be fit in this town and look, all these things. But what I get scared about is the food industry, like spending so much money telling me Snackwell's is, sorry, Snackwell's, I know you just changed your recipe. I shouldn't keep picking on you, but this is good, this is bad. And I've got the pharma industry pumping all these commercials, and I have
21 supplements that you're currently on.
I'm getting down. Okay. I'm weaning myself off. It's 22, but I'm like down to, I'm getting there. Okay. I talk about that in the newsletter. But then you've got the tech industry, like admitting they're building the most addictive tech possible. And we were this like first generation parent trying to raise our kids on it. And now we're like trying to pull back, but it feels too late. And I know these guys have heard me talk about it before, but nothing makes me more angry than the recycling industry, where you are like, so much shame is put on me, like me as my demographic. To not let my kids be addicted to phones, to eat the right foods, to not go on a GLP-1 for a little bit of help. But yes, maybe because I'm not obese, and I have to like figure out what to recycle when we could be putting on societal guardrails and like stopping policy up the chain and being like, hey, manufacturers, maybe we don't need to put Barbie in all that plastic that we can't cut out on Christmas and figure out how to recycle. Like, there's all this stuff happening. And I guess where I'm going is it's all happening at industry, and all the shame is coming to the individual. And I'm having a really hard time with it. And I just wonder, in your experience, what do you tell people that feel the individual shame of all of this and powerless to do anything at the industry level?
No, that's really, really great questions. And you're right. Industry will do whatever they do, and they'll, as long as they can get away with it, right? And that's only when they're getting some backlash that they change. I do want to take this point because both Heather and Blakely, you both have used the word obese, and I want to say that we need to wipe that word out of the vocabulary. So that's an adjective, right? And it's not a nice adjective. So instead, we use the term obesity as a disease, just like we say hypertension and diabetes and asthma.
Okay.
Right. And
so it's a disease. They suffer from obesity.
A person has obesity. Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Got it. Thank you. I appreciate that. We'll take that forward.
Pleasure. So with that being said, then back to the question about industry. There's that whole saying like, think globally, act locally. And I really think this is the time of thing when we really can lean in and what is it that we can do? And even to the point, right, like with recycling, everyone buying new toys for their kids, and then it's in the packaging and the whatever. Yeah. I've heard an interesting thing, back to, I don't have kids, I just have the little fur babies. But so I find these generations fascinating. But, this youngest generation, Gen Z, or I guess not the little kids, the alphas, but the Zs, they actually are doing these tote bags where they put in like board games, like that we used to play when we were kids, Sorry, and those kinds of things, right? And they have these like tech-free nights. So
I've been seeing that lately.
Right? Yeah. And they're all into the 90s, the way that we were into the 50s, right? Remember like Grease was so cool in the 50s. Now they think like Friends is so cool. So I think one thing that parents can do is go back to the things that we enjoyed doing before the tech and digital age, and, and try to get your kids to do those things, some of which is, again, back to playing outside, right, and being physically active, but certainly doing other things, paint by number and Mad Libs, like actually with a pencil and a pad as opposed to, digital. Like some of those things I think that kids would enjoy and they would appreciate the time away from their screens, right? And
I agree. And I think it too helps them. Look, when I was with other real live bodies of my friends and looking at real people and real women's, girls, their body compared to my body, I never thought twice about it. I never, it's when you're looking at the unrealistic things or the people who have access to 24/7 trainers. And then on top of that, filtering, where it's like they probably don't look like that in real life anyway. They probably shaved, half a centimeter off their butt before they posted the picture. And so it's what is real and how are we communicating to our kids, the next generation, of what's achievable. And just because you can take a pill and lose 30 pounds doesn't mean you should. And if you do need to, and if that's part of your health plan, make sure that you are getting medical oversight, real medical oversight, and don't get swept up into a trend just because, to your point, Blakely, the industry is saying, hey, everybody's doing this. Hey guys, look over here. Now look over here. This is what you have to do if you really care about your health. Take this pill, do this thing, and stand up for your own personal agency. Stand up for your body, your choice. Like you said, Linda, these are not things that you should be handing over to anyone to make a decision for you at all. There should be no corporation that's telling you what to do with your body and what to do or not to do, frankly, with your body. And we have to empower people to make those decisions and not be caught up in a trend.
Right. I would agree 100%, and does it feel right? And is it getting you to a point, right, where the best version of you is coming out? And I'm not talking about, cosmetically, but back to, where some of these people are accessing. If you're getting your drugs from the nail salon, would you think of taking any of your other medications from the nail salon? No. Right.
Is that real?
Yes. Yes.
Oh,
so
no, it is.
Okay.
When I did eyelash extensions for a wedding one day, they had a little sign at the checkout. If you're interested in GLP-1s, we can provide them to you at the eyelash extension place. Yeah.
So,
and I'm assuming that's like part of caught up in like a multi-level marketing thing. Yeah. Is that hitting GLP-1s?
Yeah. But that's exactly it. Like, where are these people getting these things, right? And if it doesn't feel right, then certainly don't do it. And then back full circle, Blakely, to your question about, all the plastics and stuff. And like I said, acting locally. I can't tell you over the past few years how much I've gotten involved in signing my name on these letters that go places, right? When you believe in something, right? And there are literally these different WhatsApp groups that you can sign up, and it's like one action a day, and you're just, adding your name to it. And but it doesn't take much effort on your part, but now they're getting, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of signatures. And that's part of even what's getting the pullback on these medications and putting that pressure on it to bring the prices down. So there are some things we can do. I mean, we certainly could even be the leaders in putting together those groups and those petitions and otherwise. But I think we have to get a little bit uncomfortable in order to kind of bring things back to a place where we're comfortable.
Yeah.
Oh, I think that was a really good line.
Yeah.
A really good line, because I come full circle on what I was just saying, and I'm talking about industry versus individual shame, but also you're all you got. So, you hear action absorbs anxiety. And at some point on all these things, like, maybe I'm going to start a GLP-1 tomorrow. Please don't shame me. And also,
right, absolutely.
Maybe I'm going to go fight for no more plastic Barbies. So
you're just pissed because you didn't get a Barbie because you got.
I know. I got the right size Barbie.
Right size Barbie.
Right.
Oh my gosh. Linda, someday when you have nothing better to do, you got to go back and listen to. I think it was our Christmas episode when Blakely talked about how her mom bought her a right size Barbie, which I fully support, by the way. Did it come in plastic though? Just like the other Barbie? Was it wrapped in a towel?
I think it
with a
was
little rubber band
before
around
the
it?
arms got like tied down, They had like the
Clasped
twist
down.
ties back then. Yeah.
Oh, I know Clay's dying to
I
tell us we have to stop recording
I
because I know
know.
we're going
But
over.
this is such a hot topic. There's so much I want to peel back.
I know.
Well, I'm sure we'll be talking about this a lot more because it seems like GLP-1s are only becoming more popular. I'm getting advertised them in between, things on Instagram.
So it's hitting your generation and sex as well.
Yes.
Interesting. Males
Yeah.
in their 30s.
Yeah, you can just buy them and they come in the mail,
Yeah.
So what I mean to say is that it's very prevalent and it seems like it's only gaining more steam and more attention. And so I would like to have Dr. Linda back on.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
that's the first time Clay said that. Yes, Dr. Linda,
I
come
don't want to
back.
wrap. I really enjoyed this conversation.
Dr. Linda.
I think we should see if we can plan another episode when
I would invite
can.
everyone to come on over to Substack and like type out your questions. And if we can, fortunately, get Dr. Linda back, maybe we can bring
We
some
should do a
like,
live.
community
We
questions.
could do a live. That would be fun.
That would be
Oh,
awesome.
yeah.
Right?
Those are all great
She's
ideas.
like, this is not in my contract.
I know. I know. In all of her spare time, she's got time to do a live with us. It'd be cool, though. It'd be fun. I mean, we're asking questions that we genuinely have, and I hope that's representative of what other people have, but I'm sure there's a million more.
No, it would be my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Honored.
All right. But before we let you go, I do want to ask you the question that we ask all of our guests, and we do answer it ourselves, which is what brought a smile to your face this week?
Oh, well, I'm also here in Colorado, and sorry, everyone else, we're having fantastic weather. It's
Yes,
like 80
we are.
degrees in March. The sun is out. I live in a neighborhood that has a lake, and the pelicans have come back. They're swimming on the lake,
wow.
and
Love
it's
that.
There's a lake in Colorado?
that was our thought when we moved back. Yeah, I'll have to tell you, it's about halfway between Blakely and Heather. So,
Oh,
maybe we can do
amazing.
the
Okay.
live from
I
here.
had no idea.
Yeah.
Yes.
Live from the lake, baby.
I
Yeah.
love it. Live from the lake with Dr. Linda. We even have the alliteration going. It's planning itself. It's planning itself. All right, Blakely, Clay.
Oh, do you want me to go?
Yeah.
Okay. This weekend, I said I'm not working one day. I was just
Good for you.
I'm
What?
not working at all.
Good.
Tap
And I
out.
was like, Emrys, we're getting out. Emrys is my son. So he and I spent pretty much almost the entire day together, and we went to our favorite Mexican grocery store and got chips and salsa. We went to this brand new park that was built right on the riverfront. We got to see the brand new Gordie Howe Bridge
Nice.
to Canada. It's really cool, and it was just
Oh,
a nice
Gordie
day
Howe
outside.
from the Bare Naked Lady song.
Well, he's a hockey player.
Yeah.
And also in the Bare Naked Lady song.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right.
I didn't know
789.
I didn't know that he was in a. Now I got to listen to that song on the bridge when I drive across it. So I'll ask you to send that to me.
Okay.
But we just had a nice day, and then we went to my parents' place. They live downtown, and we just kind of hung out there and ate some food and chilled, and then came back home. And we like to play a little bit of video games, so we played a video game together. It was just a nice day. So
Yeah.
it was smiles all day. It was really nice.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Blakers, just kidding.
Thank you.
Blakely.
We got to cut that from the vocabulary as well.
Blakely. Does
Blakely,
not
Blakely.
have obesity.
I-
See what I did? See
Good
how it's
job.
working?
I'm not sure. Okay. Yes. Happy. A smile. Not necessarily happy. Smile. What brought a smile to my face is my son committed to college. I was like, oh,
Shut the
that's
front
great.
door. Really? Awesome. Which one?
Congratulations.
Western Washington University in
Okay.
Bellingham, which is where I went.
Bellingham. That's where you're
So,
from.
Well, no. I mean, I went to college there as well.
Oh,
So,
well, you live there. It's kind of in
Yeah.
there. Okay.
Which is kind of funny. He applied to 14 schools and he got into all but one, I think, and he chose the one that I went to. I was like, okay. But it's awesome.
You're
It's
like
going to be
a stalker.
great.
The Western
Yeah.
Washington Vikings.
the Vikings.
Yeah, the Vikings.
And their mascot name is Victor E. Viking.
I did not know
That's
that.
so cool.
Did not know
awesome.
that.
Of course, it's a dude. Just kidding. Okay, I'm excited. I'm excited.
Yeah,
for him.
I
Good,
know. It just
congratulations,
feels like
Eldon. You're killing it.
Yeah,
Congrats.
he's killing it.
Yay. Okay, fun. Mine was that it was Saturday, just like Linda said, and it's been beautiful weather. And my stepson had a friend over spend the night. And these kids today, and their video games. Just kidding. But of course, that's what we anticipated them doing the whole day, right? But they woke up and they ran upstairs and they were like, "Hey, we're going to go for a bike ride because we want to go get this new special game and we got to go try to find it." And so they went on a whole adventure. They got on their bikes and they started at King Soopers, our local grocery store. They didn't have it. They said that might have it at the other store, and then they went all the way down to Target. I mean, these boys are riding like 5-6 miles on their bike and then back into Old Town, chasing
That's
down
awesome.
these special card games. And they found it, thank God. So one of the stores had it, but they went to 4 or 5 of them. And then in the process, they stopped by a garage sale. And then they called us and they were like, "Guys, this garage sale has a ton of vinyls. It must have been like an old record store or something." And so I just
you
bought
have a new
Nick a
record player.
I know. And so we're like, no way. So we jumped in the car, ran over to the garage sale.
Why
and
didn't you
we
go on
had
your bikes?
a ball. It was because people were swarming. I don't have time for that. I got to fight elbow to elbow to get these vinyls. $2 of vinyl in perfect condition, by the way.
$2.
$2, Blakely. That's
You
why I was
can't
like,
get that anymore.
I'm not
in
wasting 20
vinyl.
minutes on a bike. I'm
Wow.
going to get there in 3 minutes. And we got like 60 of them. It was awesome.
That's cool.
So,
That's a find.
so
So
fun.
you bought 60 vinyls?
Maybe I mean, yeah, like 2 big stacks, maybe 30. I don't know. I didn't count. but
Like the crates.
yeah, no, we had it was so many. Like you know, we have that little holder for it. It's all
Yeah.
full now of vinyls. And they're
No way,
really
that's
cool.
cool.
And they're old. And I bought Annie. The musical Annie. Did you watch
You
that?
bought Annie?
I bought Annie.
Yes.
Because
Do I know every
owned it
word?
when I was like 8 years old, and I know every song.
Yeah, every
and-
word.
Yeah, played that one last night.
life for us.
Clay, good job.
Thanks. I used to watch I don't think it was I think it was the movie version I used to watch.
Of Annie?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, what, were you rich enough to go see it on the stage? Nah. We all watched the movie version.
Well, I'm saying they probably had like a VHS of like the play
The
version or something.
Original version.
I was watching-
There's lots of versions.
Wasn't it a movie? It was always just a movie, wasn't it?
But it got remade, right? It was.
I mean, I know the Carol Burnett
Carol Burnett one.
version.
Yeah, that's the
Mrs.
one.
I know.
Hannigan.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was a ball. It was fun. And there's nothing better than a garage sale. And I used to go all the time, and I need to go more because we're reusing stuff, so saving the planet. And also you're meeting your neighbors. And they, Blakely, you would be very impressed. They're selling everything because they're moving into their van, their Sprinter van.
Are they really? Good
Not
for
like
them.
because they lost everything, just because it's a choice. They're going to just go travel the country in their van.
I
It was all
think it's
pimped out.
yeah. It's real. It's
Like we
happening.
just got a cool van, Linda.
Did you tell them no bulldog noodles, no matter the
I should have. I'd be like, I got a story for you.
Did I tell you
I listened to that episode.
Oh, you did?
I also
one had
have
a
to
lot
tell
of-
you, when I was a PhD student, right? So I was a student for a long time. I sold my vinyl. I sold my Michael Jackson Thriller and Police Synchronicity.
Oh
No.
And I think I got about $1.50 or $2 for them.
Oh,
so,
man.
and what I would pay to have them back now, right?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
it's so good. There's something
you'll
about
pay $35 is what you'll pay for that police, and then Michael Jackson maybe $65. So,
It's crazy how expensive they are.
yeah,
that's why
analog is cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all coming back, right? So
Touch
my
grass.
kids asked for Sony Walkmans for Christmas last year.
Whoa!
Oh yeah, and also
sorry.
the digital camera thing.
Yes.
where they,
Oh,
like,
that's
want
what my
that back
daughter wanted,
instead of
and
the
my son
iPhone
wanted the
camera. I'm
Walkman.
like,
And
really?
but you know what? Let it come back.
Let it
great.
come.
Let it come.
Absolutely, everything except the skinny Kate Moss standard. Just we can bring it all back, just except for that. We can't.
I just
go
don't
back.
like the low rise.
Well,
Okay.
I mean,
the
they
big
don't stay
hair.
up. Well, when you have a belly roll that hangs over the
I
low
want
rise,
big
it
hair
doesn't look
to
as
come
nice.
back. I love big hair. I want the biggest hair to come back.
Really?
Yes.
Do it. Do you? Your body is your business, Blakely. If we've learned nothing today, okay?
Let's
if we've
wrap
learned
on
one
that.
thing today,
Okay,
your
well,
body is your
subscribe to
business.
this Substack so you can hear all about how big hair is coming back.
Yes.
So Dr. Linda, we always ask our guests, what's the best way for someone to stay in contact with the guests who come on the show? For you, what's the best way for people to be able to follow what you're up to?
Sure. Well, you can track me down on LinkedIn. That might be maybe the best place. And just my full name, Linda Shapiro Manning, right there on LinkedIn. Thank you.
Okay, great. We'll be sure to
Awesome.
have that in the show notes. Heather, Blakely, anything else?
Just TBD, to be, TBD.
Thank you.
To be continued is what I'm trying to say.
TBC.
TBC. To
It
be
was
continued.
a great start of a great conversation, and really appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. You're pouring into our lives, into our daughters and sons' lives, and it's going to be a wild ride. And I just really appreciate all the information, because when we go into it with knowledge, we can make the best decisions that are best for us and our bodies. So thank you so much.
No, that's fantastic. I love that. It's a great way to end. And yeah, I mean, the gate is open, the doors are open, and now let's try to shape it into something that's really healthy for everyone.
Oh, love that.
I love
Healthy.
it. All right. See you next time.
See you next time. Cheers.